Good morning, gang. Well, it's Friday, usually the busiest news day of the week because this is when they try to hide all the bad news and let it get buried in the weekend news cycle. Hey, we could talk about Hunter got indicted. Jennifer Granholm is facing a impeachment inquiry. We all know about Mayorkas, the whole nine yards. So the house of cards is falling down around Joe Biden. His cabinet's falling apart, his family's falling apart, and his brain's already gone. But does that mean that Joe doesn't have a chance next year to get reelected? Of course not. They always have a trick up their sleeve, right? Well, we've all been talking about this every prepper channel, every conservative has been talking about this for the last at least year, that what's going to roll out next? Even Bill Gates came out a year ago and said, the next pandemic is going to be so much more deadly than COVID was. That great fortune teller that Bill Gates is. Well, we might have our first clue. And I know everybody is going to say, well, we talked about smallpox and we talked about Ebola and we talked about hemorrhagic fever and everything like that as all once. And I agree, okay? All those have come up in the last 18 months or whatever. They kind of fizzle out. And you wonder if they're test balloons. Well, let's see if the public panics over this one and then we can play up that. Or let's see if the public panics over that one and we can make this one even more restrictive. Well, we might have the new one. And this is the Nipah virus, or more commonly called the tomato flu, that is now hit India. Ironic, another Asian nation. Okay. Want to make it even more ironic? Where's this one coming from? Oh, this would be from bats. Isn't that funny? Now, we do know, at least in this one, this is a naturally occurring virus. It's not created in the lab, and I'll get into that in a second. But what's going on is yesterday you had health officials in India running around like chickens with their head cut off, trying to test people because they've already had 2 deaths from this tomato flu. Okay. The World Health Organization, I know, okay, says that the mortality rate of this is somewhere between 40 and 75%. That might get us a little more aligned with the Georgia Guidestones, huh? Okay, the depopulation agenda that the World Economic Forum has, 75% kill off? Let's see. That would bring us down to around 2 billion people in the world. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you this as where it comes from, okay, and how it's spread. Okay. Bat urine, animal droppings, and fruit are the natural way that it gets spread to people and animals. How does it spread amongst people? Well, this will sound really convenient to everybody. It'll spread through bodily fluids, from sneezing, from any other bodily fluids you want to discuss. Okay, we can go into the spitting on people or whatever, but that's how it can spread. So it can go from animal to human and then human to human. Right? So we get this. So what are the symptoms? Okay, well, fever, headaches, muscle pain, vomiting, sore throat. Sounds like the flu to me. Followed by dizziness, drowsiness, altered consciousness. They found a disease that turns you into a Democrat. Okay. And neurological signs that indicate acute encephalitis. Okay. Then within 24 to 48 hours, you start having seizures and progress into a coma within a day or two. Okay. This is what it is. So it's something they're going to freak everybody out with if this spreads. that, gee, it looks like a cold, but you need to quarantine or something. Now to remind everybody, 3 years ago, 3.5 now, when we went through the last fiasco, I remember sitting in front of the TV, watching the news back when I still had TV, and it was like, oh, there's 3 cases, and they're making a big deal out of it, okay? And that was obviously very early on. And oh, now there's a dozen cases. And then the next thing you know, we had millions of cases. So don't pshaw this because, gee, they've only had 2 deaths so far. This is legitimate, okay, as a disease. And why I say it's legitimate and why I say this was not something that was cooked up in a lab, at least recently, okay, is because this has been out before, okay? In 2001, it was, I don't want to say widespread, but I'm trying to find another word for it. But there was an outbreak in India and Bangladesh, and 62 people died, okay? In 2018, in the same area in India, you had 21 people die of this. Now, so it's been around, and yes, there have been some people that died in the past. Okay, no question. This could kill you. However, how far are they going to take this time? Are we going to see a travel ban from anybody from India? Okay, could be. Not that that'd be a big problem in my mind. Okay, we maybe have a whole lot less competition in the IT job market, or maybe a few less scammers coming across the ocean. But something to pay attention to here, because this is how silly this is, and we know something's going to come up. The treatment that the CDC recommends for this, get this, okay? Rest, hydration, and treatments of symptoms as they occur. Okay, got it. You're going to tell me that nearly half to 3/4 of people that contract this disease die. And the way that I need to make sure I'm okay is to stay in bed and drink some Gatorade. Okay. Something stinks, okay? But ironically, here it is. Timing's pretty good. Let's set this up. Oh, going into the fall, going into an election year. I mean, remember, it was around this time that our last dear friend got exposed to the public. It was around Christmas that finally it was starting to spread around the world, and by January, all hell had broken loose. Okay. The timing is pretty good. So, could this be the next one? Could this be the election interference that the Democrats have been looking for to somehow keep Joe in office, to keep their power to cancel elections? Maybe. Okay. It is out there. It is technically, you could use the term deadly for it. Now, the funny part is, if they come up with another election injection, I'm going to be very interested to figure out why they didn't do that in 2001 or 2018. But why all of a sudden now? I don't know. Maybe you'll hear that the latest booster is just as effective against this too. But if anything, keep an eye on this. Watch what's going on, because it's just another reason why your face diaper and your plexiglass and all that, this may be their reason to shut it all down again. Have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.